In our digital world, we've got countless applications that all need to talk to each other. They're sharing information across different platforms, different programming languages, but how do they actually do it? How do they avoid getting totally lost in translation? Well, the answer is this surprisingly simple but really powerful language that acts like a universal translator. Let's break down exactly how it works.
Seriously, think about it for a second. How does that weather app on your phone, written in one language, get all the up-to-the-minute data from a server that's probably written in a completely different language? They've got to have some common ground, right? A shared vocabulary so they can understand each other.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start with the world of data we're all swimming in. Then we'll get to know JSON, the universal language that connects it all. I'll show you Python's built-in toolkit for handling it, and we'll see exactly how to translate data back and forth. Finally, we'll look at a real-world example and then get you thinking about what you can build next.
Okay, so the solution to this whole communication puzzle is something called JSON. The best way to think about it is like the Rosetta Stone, but for applications. It's this simple, elegant way for basically any program to understand data coming from any other program.
So what is it officially? JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. But honestly, the two words you really need to focus on here are lightweight and human-readable. Lightweight just means it's super fast and efficient to send over a network. And human-readable means that you and I, can actually look at it and understand what's going on, which, believe me, is an absolute lifesaver when you're trying to figure out why something's broken.
So what makes JSON so special? Well, first off, it's just text, and everybody can understand text. It's organized into these simple key-value pairs, which almost every programming language out there gets. It's totally language independent, and it supports all the basic data types you'd ever need. Strings, numbers, you name it. It's just incredibly versatile.
And here it is. This is the best part for us Python developers. Does this look familiar? It absolutely should. A JSON object, with its keys and values, is structured almost identically to a Python dictionary. That's what makes working with it feel so natural and incredibly intuitive.
And that's not all. The similarities are amazing. The translation is just so direct. A JSON object becomes a Python dictionary. A JSON array, that becomes a Python list. And even things like true, false, and null have perfect Python equivalents. It's basically a one-to-one map, which means you don't have to write any complicated code to convert things. It just works.
So how do we actually do this translation in our code? Well, Python makes it incredibly easy. It gives us a built-in toolkit specifically for this, and it's called the JSON module.
And here's the best part. You don't have to install a single thing. It's already there. Python thinks this is so important. It includes everything you need right out of the box to both read incoming JSON and write your own JSON to send out. Really, it all comes down to two main functions. You've got json.loads, and that S is for string, which is for reading. Think of it as listening. It takes a JSON string and loads it into a Python object. Then you have json.dumps, which is for writing. Think of this as speaking. It takes your Python object and dumps it into a JSON string, all packaged up and ready to go.
All right, let's get our hands dirty. First up, we're going to tackle the most common task you'll face, taking some raw JSON string you get from somewhere else and turning it into something useful inside Python.
Okay, so this is our starting point. We've got a variable, but notice those single quotes on the outside? To Python right now, this is just a meaningless block of text. We can't ask for the name, we can't get the age, it's just a string.
But then, boom, with just one line of code, json.loads, we completely unlock it. We transform that useless string into a living, breathing Python dictionary. Now we can just say data.name and we get John back. That's the magic of deserialization.
Okay, now let's flip it around. What if we have data inside our Python program that we need to send out to some other application? We have to package it up for the trip.
So this time, we're starting with a regular Python dictionary. It's super useful inside our own program, but we can't just send this object over the internet. Another program wouldn't know what to do with it. We need to convert it into that universal text-based format. And just like before, a single function does all the heavy lifting. JSON JMP's dumps takes our dictionary and serializes it into a perfect JSON string. This text is now universally understood. It's ready to be sent in an API call, saved to a file, whatever you need.
And hey, here's a fantastic pro tip that's going to save you and anyone you work with a ton of headaches. When you're saving JSON to a file that a person might actually have to look at, add the indent parameter. This pretty prints the whole thing, turning a messy jumble of text into something clean, organized, and way easier to read and debug.
All right, this all sounds great in theory,
But where do you actually see this stuff in action? Let's look at a classic, really powerful example, a simple weather app. You know, whether it's a weather app, a stock ticker, a social media feed, the workflow is almost always the same. First, your application requests data from an API. Second, that server sends back a response formatted as a JSON string. Third, your app grabs it and uses our good friend json.loads to parse it. And fourth, you're totally free to pull out whatever data you need and display it to your user.
And that right there is the key. This simple four-step process is what makes an application feel alive and dynamic. By understanding how to work with JSON, you've basically just unlocked the ability to connect to thousands of APIs and pull in real-time data from all over the world, straight into your own projects.
So, we've covered a ton of ground, right? From the problem of how apps talk to each other to the really elegant solution that JSON provides, all with Python's awesome JSON module. Let's just quickly nail down the key takeaways.
Look, if you remember nothing else from this, just remember these three things. First, what is JSON? It's the standard language for data. Second, how do you read it? You use json.loads. And third, how do you write it? You use json.dumps. That's it. That's the core of the whole thing.
You now have the absolute fundamental skill to connect your Python apps to this huge world of data. You could build a dashboard that tracks crypto prices, an app that pulls in sports scores, a tool that analyzes scientific data. You could even make a bot that fetches jokes from an API. You can now speak the language of data. So the only question left is, what are you going to build with it?